Hey y'all, and welcome back to Bourbon and Bones. As you can tell, we have a new stage. Well, at least those of you who follow us regularly can know that. If you're new to our channel, welcome. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all those things you do for YouTube, and I would appreciate it. So tonight, we're doing a very special sample given to us by Dave, a huge supporter of ours here at Bourbon and Bones. So thank you, Dave. So tonight we're going to look at the most expensive bourbon and the rarest bourbon we've ever had on the show, and that is Kentucky Owl Dry State. So Kentucky Owl has deep roots in Kentucky history. In the 1870s, a local pharmacist, Charles Mortimer Dedman, married his wife, and as a wedding present, his new father-in-law gave them a very large parcel of land on the banks of the Kentucky River. So after talking with his wife, Charles founded Kentucky Owl in 1879. He built the C.M. Dedman Distillery, and for decades it produced the wise man's bourbon, thus the owl, because, you know, owls are wise. So for decades, Kentucky Owl produced bourbon until Prohibition. The Volstead Act ended production at Kentucky Owl. No matter how hard the Dedman family tried, federal agents came, confiscated all of their bourbon, nearly all the bourbon in Kentucky, including all the Kentucky Owl stock. And to give you an idea, the current Kentucky Owl figures that about 250,000 gallons of bourbon were taken. And in today's money, that would equate to about $40 million. So the feds took the bourbon upriver to Frankfurt, the capital, for safekeeping in a variety of storage warehouses. Then one night, oddly enough, the warehouses caught fire and burned to the ground in a few hours, and not very hot. So the problem with that is when you have an entire rickhouse full of millions of gallons of highly flammable alcohol, that should have burnt for days and incredibly hot. And we've seen that happen. We've seen those kind of fires happen in Kentucky. But this burned to the ground in just a few hours without any real spectacle. So it didn't. The question is, what happened to all the bourbon inside? Well, rumors persist. And the rumors actually indicate that Al Capone paid off people and had the barrel shipped north to Chicago for all the speakeasies. The Dedmans never received a single dime for their lost bourbon, and they never produced again. Until Dixon Dedman, the great-great-grandson of Charles. Some 85 years later, he was operating the famous Bourbon Inn in Harrisburg, Kentucky. As he served food and bourbon to guests along the Bourbon Trail, he was crazy enough to start to try to think about resurrecting the brand out of the long past. The plan was to hand select high-end barrels and recreate a new small batch of Kentucky Owl. So in September of 2014, the new Kentucky Owl began appearing on the shelves. What we are going to actually focus on this week is the 100th anniversary of the Volstead Act and the death of Dixon's family's distillery. Only 2,000 bottles have ever been made of this batch. The youngest barrel in here is 12 years, and the oldest is 17, and they've been blended into a single batch. So if you're lucky enough to have a bottle of this, you have Charles' personal signature. Yes, he actually took the time to sign every single one of them. And just look at the box that goes along with it. Huge. It is this big wooden box. It opens up, has the history of Dry State, what it talks about. Amazing presentation. And a little bit more about the legend, about how Al Capone most likely actually took all those barrels, shipped them north for the speakeasies. So without further ado, let's dig into the bourbon. Our little sample jar here. Oh, wow, that smells good. That is dark cherries, bright, clean, fresh leather. a deep, rich oak as well. Some type of floral note right on the back end, kind of like rose water kind of thing. It's very light towards the back, and even possibly a little bit of chocolate. Whew. Rich vanillas. Almost like if you could barrel age caramel, that's what you're getting. You're getting pecan. You're getting dark cherries and gala apples, and it is so complex. Wow. This is really complex. Some type of, it definitely has got rye in it because it's there. It's this little bit of baking spice and deep toasted baked bread, but it's just so buttery on the palate. This is incredible. Right. So I need to stop here. We're going to take a quick little break. We're going to let my palate rest, try with a bit of water. So stick with us. So welcome back to Bourbon and Bones. Again, we are here with Kentucky Owl Dry State with a bit of water. Let's see how it changed. And it is like Werther's caramel candied with its tropical edge, mango adjacent because it's sharp, but it's still, oh man. You're still getting a little bit of that oak, touch of vanilla. All of it is still just so compact. So for once, the texture actually loses some of its butteriness and kind of reminds me more of a bourbon without all the butter. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know what I'm saying. It's like a Maker's Mark before and after water, but in reverse. This is it's the viscosity does drop, but those pecan almond notes come flying forward. Huge oaky, like toasted smokiness on the oak. Still just really fruity though. It still has this big cherry, dark cherry note. I'm gonna go with mango because I don't know what else it is. It's not citrus and it's not like pineapple, but it's definitely a tropical note going through the whole thing. A little bit of vanilla, just again, toasted caramel, getting into like a butterscotchy range. So, obviously I think we've reached a verdict. And this is a phenomenal bottle. I mean, just incredible. And the finish is long lasting, even after we went off screen. 5 minutes and I still could taste it. I can still taste it. Like right now I'm getting a little bit of like clove and anise just kind of on the outside edge of the palate along with vanilla and caramel. This is an incredible bottle. The detraction to it is the fact that it's $1,000 a bottle. Is it worth $1,000? I would say for the rarity of the bottle. $1,000 for one of 2,000 bottles, beautiful display, incredible bourbon. If that's it within your price limit, go for it. Absolutely go for it. If that is not a burden for you, definitely jump on it, given the opportunity. For the rest of us, if you know someone that has a bottle and they're really nice, ask for a try. It is incredible. It's a great bottle, but it's cost prohibitive for a lot of people. It's cost prohibitive to me. My channel isn't big enough. I don't make that kind of money. Their girlfriend doesn't make that kind of money. That would be a huge investment, but I'm just glad I had an opportunity to try it. Now for our final transition this evening. Tonight we're going to talk about something that is possibly equally as rare. Something that should never have preserved in the fossil record, and that is a jellyfish. This is jellyfish Exoxella aceria. Imagine 300 million years ago on Earth. We are visiting the mouth of a river feeding into a shallow sea. It's in the nodules that are found just south of Chicago that we've talked about before. So this jellyfish lived during the Carboniferous period and is the most prolific fossil site for jellyfish in the world. Nearly 42% of all fossils discovered in the Mason Creek Formation are jellyfish, and they're virtually preserved nowhere else in the fossil record. There's one spot in Africa, but it's only like a 12% discovery rate. This is an incredible location for it, and just the magic of that region preserves jellyfish. So if you look at it here, you see this little bulbous part here. I'm going to highlight all that in red as I talk about it, because it's hard to see if you're not really sure what you're looking at. So this bulbous part here is the head of the jellyfish. These little bit of clumpy part at the bottom, those are actually the tendrils that are flowing in off of it. So the jellyfish actually died laying down on the dirt, on the sand. Soil went on top of it, buried it, and preserved it. And I love this location for hunting fossils, to the point where I want to make an extra side trip just to find more piles of rocks. The problem being with a paleontologist, you are always looking for places to find rocks. And the next time we head up towards the Michigan area to visit family or anywhere close to Kentucky, I'm definitely going to take a little side trip to see if I can get another few buckets of fossils to play with. And the girlfriend's shaking her head at me because I'm a dork and I'm okay with it. So like hunting for rare fossils, there's an opportunity to find rare bourbons. Again, I want to thank Tarfu for the sample and the access to such a rare bottle. So thank you, Dave, again. And just like Dave, share bourbon with someone. Good night.